Now at 6, this is Fox 61, Connecticut's news station.
Good evening and thanks for joining us for the news at 6. I'm Brent Harden.
And I'm Emma Woolforce. Day 23 of the Michelle Tronas trial, and once again the contents of the defendant's computer are taking center stage.
Yeah, all this as the state introduces new evidence and plays Tronas' third interview with police. Fox 61's Julia LeBlanc has the latest.
It is amazing that nearly 5 years after Jennifer Dulos' death, that this defendant still will not let her rest in peace.
Day 23 of the Michelle Tronas trial, starting with unfinished business. The state alleging the defendant has been publicly displaying sealed custody documents on her computer during the trial, all involving the divorce between Jennifer Farber Dulos and Fotis Dulos.
The defendant absolutely had the sealed report on her computer screen, that it was being displayed in violation of a court order, and that the defendant's mother attempted to prevent her from being discovered as having violated that order by tapping her on the shoulder and bringing it to her attention that we were about to address it with the court.
Prosecutors calling for the judge to dismiss Tronas' mother from the courtroom for the rest of the trial. And while the defense team says they haven't seen proof of the allegations, they did have a conversation with the Tronas family.
Her computer is not here today because we need to listen to the evidence.
Judge Kevin Randolph giving a stern warning to members of the gallery.
So if there are efforts to communicate with a jury or a witness, you will be removed. No hearing, just removed.
The judge says there will be a contempt hearing after the defense rests. Attorney John Schoenhorn outside of court Friday.
As far as I'm concerned, it should have no impact on anything.
Later in the morning, the state continued its case, showing surveillance video with a view of Fotis' Farmington home the day Jennifer went missing.
The defendant indicated to you during her interview that Mr. Dulos was driving the Suburban at this point. Is that correct?
She indicated that he was driving the Suburban and she was driving the Jeep.
Retired State Police Detective John Kimball says the two vehicles are seen traveling several times to and from another property Fotis owned in Farmington. And back at Fort Jefferson Crossing, the state pointed out smoke coming from the chimney in the middle of May.
Did she ever indicate to you whether or not anyone had lit a fire at Fort Jefferson Crossing on May 24th?
She did not know.
An activity Schoenhorn says is not out of the ordinary for his client.
Whatever they are trying to claim from a couple of puffs of white smoke at various times on a very windy day, again, it's pure speculation.
Jurors then heard from Tronas herself as prosecutors played her third interview with police from August of 2019, one where once again police claim there were inconsistencies in her statements.
There's a lot of evidence that they were not truthful.
Now, the jury will hear the rest of that police interview on Tuesday because there's no court Monday because of the holiday. The state plans to wrap up its case shortly after. We are in Stamford. Julia LeBlanc, Fox 61, Connecticut's news station.
Well, thank you, Julia. It was a cold and breezy day outside. Time for a check on the weather.
And about every other time I looked out the window, there was snow coming down.
I know, just a little
Just
sprinkle.
stubborn, it won't stop. Rachel, it won't stop.
It won't stop, and we got more coming this way as we head into later tonight. A little break in the action right now with that snow developing after about 2 o'clock in the morning. So if you're heading out this Friday night, no issues other than, the wind has been stubborn today as well. Although you'll notice a lot of sites not reporting any top gusts right now, and that's because the wind is in the process of diminishing. Thank goodness. This is the system that we're tracking. The bulk of it will stay to the south of us, although we'll be on the northern fringe of things as we head through the overnight and into the day tomorrow. So we'll see that light snow develop after about 2 o'clock in the morning. It'll be kind of off and on in the morning on Saturday and really steadier south and west of Hartford. But then in the afternoon, anybody could see a scattered snow shower, and there could be some slippery spots as we head through the day tomorrow as well, especially early in the morning. And then again in the afternoon as those snow showers come through, there could be a coating up to an inch or two of accumulation. Taking a look at temperatures tonight, we are dropping back into the 20s, so any snow snow that falls is able to stick. So it'll be a snowy start to the day and then some breaks before those scattered snow showers end up developing. I do think we'll see the most snow in southwestern Connecticut. We'll see the least in northwestern areas. We'll take a closer look coming up.
All right, Rachel, thank you. Tonight we are learning more about what led to a deadly shooting at a Kansas City Chiefs parade.
We now know 2 juveniles have been charged in connection to that shooting, and we're getting a look at new video showing the moment gunshots rang out. You can see the crowd quickly dispersing as people begin running for cover.
Now, police saying the juveniles are facing gun-related and resisting arrest charges right now. Officials anticipate there to be more arrests as the investigation continues. Victims now speaking out about what happened.
For us to be in such a great moment in our history and just be ruined by idiocracy, just why there? Why then?
A mother of 2 was killed and 22 people were injured in that shooting. Police are now asking any witnesses with video of the incident to call a dedicated hotline.
A house in Middletown is a total loss after a fire this morning, and new at 6, we're getting a look at new drone video of that fire. On the left side of your screen, you can see the thermal imaging captured by the drone showing crews where the flames were coming from. All of this happening at a home on Scarborough Lane around 10 a.m. Several fire departments responded to the scene. It took crews about an hour to put that fire out. Everyone was able to make it out safely and no injuries were reported. The cause of the fire is still under investigation.
Another arrest has been made in connection to a street takeover in Milford. Police say they took a juvenile into custody yesterday for her involvement in the December 9th incident in the Stop and Shop parking lot on Bridgeport Avenue. More than 100 people were involved in that street takeover, and that led to one officer being injured. No more information on the juvenile is being released due to her age. It's a story Fox 61 has covered from the start. Who will lead Connecticut's largest city?
There have been accusations of ballot fraud, corruption, overturned elections, and still no arrests.
Fox 61's Matt Karen visited Bridgeport to catch up with the campaigns.
Well, Bridgeport voters prepare to head back to the polls for the 4th time in 6 months.
The other campaign stands for clearly what the past is about.
This is the only campaign that has remained consistent with integrity.
Less than 2 weeks until a 4th and likely final election for Bridgeport mayor.
She coming in our building taking ballots.
It's getting messy in the Park City.
Get off my back.
Look what you're doing. Look what you're doing. Look what you're doing.
Ganem and Gomes supporters locked in an on-camera clash outside a senior housing complex, resulting in assault charges against Ganem supporter Jasmine Cooper, the daughter of accused ballot fraudster and city councilwoman Anita Martinez.
My supporters have the right to go anywhere in Bridgeport and talk to registered voters. Certain people feel territorial.
Mayoral candidate John Gomes is trying to stay afloat amid a barrage of bad news. Petitioning candidate Lamont Daniels, who got nearly 2,000 votes in the November election, threw his support behind the incumbent, Joe Ganem.
I'm eager to forge a partnership with him and his administration, and we will hold them accountable.
Ganem got another endorsement from Republican David Hers, who's still on the ballot.
My preference was always Mr. Ganem over Mr. Gomes anyway, so it's the devil I know.
Gomes accused both men of selling out.
A candidate who ran on transparency, a new start, ending corruption, and then you get back in bed with those that are causing the corruption. There's rumor in the streets that he compromised himself for a job.
And Mayor Ganem, who's looking for a new chief operating officer, didn't rule out the possibility.
He's well qualified for any position, at least public sector and I'm sure private sector.
Gomes recently visited the state capitol, where he urged Governor Lamont to support election security.
We asked for a meeting. He said he's up to it. We've proposed, but we haven't received anything.
But the Ganem campaign has accused Gomes of turning the trip into a coordinated photo op to fake an endorsement.
The governor was frankly ambushed at the state capitol and then used as a cheap shot, which I think was unfair to him.
That has nothing to do with this campaign. That was a supporter using sarcasm.
All this as the powerful chairman of Bridgeport's Democratic Town Committee, Mario Testa, has called on state party leaders to come out and publicly support Ganim. It remains to be seen if Governor Ned Lamont, who has already said he wants to turn the page, will stake his reputation on a full-fledged Ganim endorsement. Reporting in Bridgeport, Matt Caron, Fox 61, Connecticut's news station.
Matt, thank you. New at 6 tonight, the state Senate has a new Republican minority leader after Senator Kevin Kelly was ousted. The caucus has voted to appoint Senator Stephen Harding for the role, replacing Kelly. Kelly was named minority leader back in 2020. In a statement, Kelly said, "I have been incredibly honored to serve as the leader of this caucus and will work collaboratively with Senator Harding going forward." Harding also releasing a statement saying, "As leader, I will make sure our caucus remains unified and focused on standing up for all people, offering solutions and showing a better path forward. I thank Senator Kelly for his leadership and look forward to the challenges ahead."
Well, housing, always a big issue, not just in Connecticut, but across the country. This morning, lawmakers and advocates gathered at the state capitol to try and put what they call a housing crisis front and center this legislative session. I spoke with some of those legislators and community leaders after their meeting.
Whether it's renting or owning, it is our responsibility to put more people in homes.
Friday morning, state lawmakers and advocates gathered for an informational hearing to discuss the human and economic impact of homelessness and housing in Connecticut.
Sometimes we really need a nexus of multiple committees so that we are able to actually hear all of the information at the same time.
That's why Kavros DeGraw wanted to organize this hearing so the legislature can feel the urgency of this issue in our state.
I hope that my colleagues are focused as I am on moving forward with as much of solutions as we can possibly get to.
When it comes to homelessness, Kavros DeGraw says the population has risen 14% since 2021. There are more than 4,000 people currently in homeless shelters, with more than 800 people right now sleeping in alternative spaces like cars and tents.
It is a crisis. It's something that's ongoing, and it's something that continues to be discussed on and on over and over again.
Lawmakers heard from housing advocates, community leaders, and mayors about the challenges they're seeing.
We need more supportive, long-term supportive housing, but there's a donut hole between supportive housing and owning your first apartment.
And advocates say this isn't just impacting one town.
This is a statewide issue. It's not like it's an urban issue and not a suburban or rural issue. This is affecting every community. And so it calls on all legislators, I think, to get involved.
Lawmakers Friday feeling hopeful real solutions will be passed this session.
There's people on both sides of the aisle that share this concern, and we do want to work together to make some sort of change, meaningful change.
We have momentum. We have more people who are looking at this. If we squander this momentum that we have now, it's really a mistake.
And Representative Kavros DeGraw tells me there have already been concepts introduced in committees, like bills around tiny shelters and removing barriers for building housing. She and other lawmakers today say there is bipartisan support for these measures, even in this short session.